David Boone was celebrated for drinking 52 cans of lager on the flight over. I was listening to Mark Taylor after the Ashes were won about what the wine was going to be that they were going to celebrate with. And does cricket have a drinking culture?
Yeah, and he will. Keezy will front up to it. He was like that as a player, as a captain. He didn't shy away from anything, and so in this role that he's got now, he will keep fronting up, and he'll be honest. He'll be angry. He'll be angry and he'll be frustrated because no matter what we say about the preparation and and everything leading into it, there would have been a lot of planning. It's not slapdash.
If you're in and around the Melbourne area or the MCG, you can get a free health check at a number of machines they've got stationed around the ground. Just ending on Shane then, Jonesy, what are your memories of facing him?
Genius with the ball and a genius without it.
Well, Jonesy, that was an interesting day's cricket. 20 wickets have fallen. We'll come to that in a second. But how was your Christmas? Do anything exciting?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Just go round to my sister and brother-in-law, who's actually James Treadwell. The ex-England off-spinner, captained one Test match. Not a Test match, sorry, a one-day international. But I don't think something random, like I think it rained and they didn't bowl a ball. So good quiz question. But good day around there. And then come back last night and fell asleep in front of the TV and woke up to see wickets tumbling. So
that's been the story of the day so far. When you were on tour, let's say the 06-07 Ashes when you went to Australia, take us into the take us into that Christmas Day sort of routine and stuff, because obviously it'd be quite alien to the majority of us who are at home during Christmas. What's that like for you as players overseas?
Yeah, well, generally, and if I do talk of 06-07, you have a lot of family around. So we had a big room and went through. It's just had a really nice day. Had a good lunch. And went from there. So all the families got together, and actually on 06-07, actually no, they weren't there, but two players I played with in terms of Simon Jones and Marcus Roscoe, it's their birthdays on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And ironically, Boxing Day Test match in Melbourne is the only white Christmas I've ever had.
No way, really?
Yeah, we had. It was much like this Test match, very cold. But it hailed. There was a tremendous hailstorm, and it left everything looking like it had snowed. So that was what was memorable back in Melbourne all those years ago. But yeah, it's a nice family time as you do what you can whilst getting prepared for a match the next day.
And how do the presents work within the group?
I don't think we did any. I think it's more of you do your own thing with that side of it, and we got together for a lunch, which is really nice.
And then later on, as a family, what's your favourite Christmas movie and Christmas song?
Well, what do we? Actually, we sat down the other night, all of us, and for the first time ever, Reece said he hadn't watched it, so we all watched The Hangover together. Not really Christmassy, but
there's a theme there, obviously.
No, I drove yesterday.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So there's that bit. So we're just the boys like to laugh and stuff. So I think they've gone on and watched The Hangover 2 together and yesterday. So that's sort of it. I don't really. Yeah, for me, it was growing up. It was different, and obviously this time last year, I went back to visit my dad because he wasn't well, and so it was. We had a bit of an Aussie Christmas where it was warmer. My brother and I went down to the beach on that morning. So yes, for me, it's a bit of a funny one this Christmas. Obviously, not having Dad around anymore. My ritual was on Christmas Eve morning, we would, they would all gather around Dad's house, and we'd get on the Zoom call, and I'd speak to them that way. So it was, it was a bit different for me this year. With my sister, she'd actually gone down to my brother's, but my nephew and niece, they were elsewhere. So we didn't actually have a family Christmas call this year. So for me, it was a bit different, and quite. I didn't know how I feel about it. I was obviously very sad not having Dad around, but that's the nature of living on the other side of the world to your family. Is sort of Christmas time was generally about Zoom calls for me.
Let's take it back to the cricket. It was definitely an entertaining day. Tom Fong, who is one of our viewers, he sent a message via YouTube a few days ago, actually, and he said, well, Tom, firstly, thanks for listening, and thanks for taking the time to send us a message. And he says, Adelaide was a false dawn in terms of England batting quite well and playing quite well, even though obviously Australia won. Melbourne will have more life, and Boland will revel bowling on his home patch. Michael Neser certainly did, but Melbourne will have more life. I think is probably one of the best sort of statements prior to an event that I think I've seen, because more life is actually an understatement.
Yeah, and that wicket has generally offered more life to it, and that was 100% the case today. I don't actually lay too much blame with the batters, and actually with the state of the wicket and how much it offered, arguably too much. The quality of the bowlers on both sides, they didn't have to do a lot. They had to put it in a reasonable area. Yeah, and I think to give England some credit, the bowlers are learning. Even I heard the post-match interviews this morning, and they're making a real effort to pitch the ball up. Josh Tongue, who took his fifer, was talking about the lengths he needed to bowl. And so where England went over there with this perception of short ball, are actually finally getting around to it. And a wicket like that makes you think, hang on a minute, this is, we've probably grown up bowling on a lot of this. So to English seamer, let's pick it. And I think they did really well to do what, to bowl Australia out, and clearly the wicket just kept on doing it all day long. And apparently the groundsman has said it's going to do it more tomorrow and quicker. And if you think, as a batter, the ball moving sideways is the hardest thing to play. When it moves quicker, you don't have the time to react.
The bowling was excellent. Taking 3 for 30, Michael Neser 4 for 45, Josh Tongue 5 for, as you said. But the one bowler who I think hasn't learned anything across the course of this series so far, and doesn't give Ben Stokes any control at all, yet he continually gets the new board, is Brydon Carse. Do you think that is, you said something just now actually about English conditions. Brydon Carse grew up in South Africa, I believe. Do you think that's an indication of the fact that he naturally will tend to bowl it shorter by virtue of their pitches?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He hasn't improved across the series. He's bowled short, and he's copying a bit of fair criticism for the lengths he's bowling. And as a bowler, you do need to be adaptable, and that's, he's not quite got there. He's bowled width and he's bowled short, and so so for Stokes, he's probably wanting to see the pitch map get a bit better, but he hasn't. So it's making it tough. But yeah, you can. I think as a bowler, you have this thing called a natural length, and you should be able to slightly adjust it. And for Carse, that length is to be a bit short, trying to hit the wicket. So he's probably really struggling on wickets where to pitch it up a bit. So it's a fine balance, because that way you run in, your natural length is where you hit hard, you bowl your highest pace. And it's just, you almost, the best bowlers that I've faced can have a long time off, and then even they're loosening up, they just go and put it on that spot. Mark Elam, for me, is name from the past, Kent legend. He would, in the indoor school pre-season, Ely would have, he would sort of take his jumper off, have a stretch. His first ball would just be bang on the money. He didn't have to do anything; it was just natural. Whereas it seems that Carse, South Africa had a big influence. it's a bit back of it. So then when they do try and pitch it up, it's floaty and it's slow, and it's then the batters recognise that and batters score. So that's where it's difficult. So he's obviously got to work on that for sure, because he doesn't bowl many balls that hit the stumps, does he? And that's when it's nipping around like that. That's what you want to see as the fielding team, as the captain. Put the batters under pressure by looking to pitch it up, nip it back or nip it away, either bowl or outside edge.
Yeah, and he's not giving Stokes sort of any control, because his first few overs are going for runs because he's too short, and that's giving the advantage back to the Australian batters. Ben Stokes' captaincy has come under a bit of criticism in the course of this series, but he did well today in terms of setting some decent fields. Certainly the dismissal of Alex Carey, where he set a leg slip, and the very next ball Carey puts it there. Do you think the criticism of Stokes is fair or not?
Possibly a little bit at times, but from what I think he's a very proactive captain. He's not willing to let the situations just flow along. He wants it to happen. Yeah, that can work both ways. It can work really spectacularly well when you're doing all these changes and they're working, and like you say, you put in a leg slip, it goes straight to it. That's what you want. But other times when you're forcing it and you're doing everything, and then the runs are flowing, that's probably when the likes of yourself are looking at it and going, "What's he doing? Why doesn't he just settle in and be confident and be comfortable with sort of trusting the bowlers and getting them to just hit their line of length?" And I think I saw again, at the end of the play, watching a bit of the footage there and a bit of the analysis, they mentioned that at the start of the series, England bowlers were 25% short delivery. So 1 every 4 deliveries was a bouncer. So if, that's clearly a plan. And so he's, but that also opens up the whole ground when you're bowling short. And that's what we saw. And where now it's sort of flipped. They've improved that. They're not bowling as many short deliveries, but I think Stokes as well, he'll learn from this series. I think what we are seeing is a bit of an evolution again. What we're asking for with Bazball is gone now, isn't it? Everyone sort of say Bazball is out,
doesn't get mentioned,
and so no, you're not allowed. So the evolution is with these bowlers, especially with Mark Wood. Jofra Archer injured. We're this current crop we're seeing in this one. That's sort of, I imagine that's who we're going to see in a lot of test matches going forward. And the evolution of those guys is probably bowling a bit more like the Australians have shown them how to bowl.
Yeah, I still think Matthew Potts is unlucky not to be playing in this test, given how well, or the wickets that Neestran Boland took. Took 7 for your old captain, Michael Vaughan. He always, I don't know whether he was just being sort of, putting himself down a little bit, or just being a bit, which is unlikely that he was going to be respectful about what he did. But he always used to say that I just got lucky. I tried some stuff and it came off time and time again. And look, Stokes today tried that leg slip. That came off. With your team meetings and stuff in 2005, were any of the things that Michael tried in the field discussed, or were they actually just spur of the moment, instinctive decisions that he made, and the ones that came off we remember?
Boxing Day, mate. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. You're 20 years ago, and here you are. I've got no idea. I can't remember.
You're on the podcast for a reason. It's because of 2005, right? I try and mention 06, 07 as little as possible.
Oh man, did we? Yes. Yeah, that's where again it's interesting that the analysts would come into it and look at sort of, and again, Duncan Fletcher was brilliant at looking at opposition batsman weaknesses. So Fletch led a lot of it with that, and so then he and Warne had a great relationship, and so you would have so you'd have senior sort of players, which I was in that group for a little while, and we would meet to discuss before the whole group, and we would talk about a little bit about what about the test match, selection, and then certain batters, and then it'd be delivered to the group, and Mark Garraway, the analyst, and incidentally, I think that's another one of the backroom group that Brendan McCullum has used less. I think he's got rid of the analyst with the amount that they, of involvement the analyst has. So again, they're relying on a small group to come up with this, and that's why, sort of it takes a few matches to recognise stuff. Whereas we used an analyst to deliver what he thought. These are some areas, and generally it was top of off, but bits like that has a tendency. We've seen it with Weatherald. I think they got it. They clearly had some early information of where his head position is, and they've targeted straight for him, and they're having success. We got caught down the leg side. We've got him LBW. So they're showing that there's a level of research has got in. But in my time, I think Fletch was heavily involved with that. We also had we had an Australian bowling coach in Troy Cooley who would have been looking at that and talking to the bowlers. So little bits came from everywhere, and players ourselves who knew the opposition you could offer it up. That's what the team meetings are for. Say, right, this is the first bit of information we have, guys. You got anything you want to add? And someone potentially say, listen, Carey I've bowled to. I think early on, can we maybe have a chance of looking at leg slip? And so that's what a team environment's about. And as a captain, it's you then just sort of taking out what you think is good, filtering. And so Stokes is clearly filtered and going, let's have a go at leg slip. What do we got to lose? And it's the best thing as a captain when that comes off. When you put somewhere which looks a bit random and it works, but there is methodology behind why they're there.
Yeah, Stokes is at the other end when, and would this podcast or any cricket podcast about the Ashes wouldn't be complete without mentioning Harry Brook. And Stokes is at the other end when the first ball he receives, and England are 3 down, I think, at this phase, or maybe 3 down, maybe even 4 down. He comes charging down the track, and there's a big ahoy at Mitchell Starc, and there was a combined sort of fit in all of the commentary boxes, TV and radio, as he does that. What do you make of that? I mean, is that another one of these, this is the way I play moments? Is it him trying to impose himself? What do you make of that?
Well, that's actually probably I'd put that down as some better thinking. It doesn't look like it, but it's looking at that wicket and thinking, I'm not going to sit there, otherwise I end up being this. The bowlers are so good. If I just sit there and prod around, I've seen 14 wickets fall doing that. Okay, I'm going to actually, and this is where the Harry Brook sort of balance comes to it. In that situation, Harry Brook playing the way he did, I think is absolutely fine. He came out there and he was straight away. He put it back on the bowlers, and that's what you want from Harry Brook. So yes, it caused in TMS and everything like that. They were they couldn't believe it. Aggers and sort of, has he not learnt from 3? But actually, I think, okay, fair enough. And some of the shots he played were ridiculously good. And he just put some pressure out. What you need in a situation like that, when the wicket is just offering so much, and when the bowlers can land it in a larger area than they probably normally can, as a batter, you've got to think, well, how am I going to survive, and how am I going to score runs? And for Harry Brooks, right, I'm going to use my natural skill. I'm going to come down the wicket. I'm going to put them off their length. If they're short, I'm going to sit and whack it. So actually, I'm going to give Harry Brook a bit of credit there and say the decisions he did today on playing the way he did matched the situation that was in front of him.
And you ended up on 41, which was England's highest score in their 110 all out. 40, they finished, Scott on an edge to 4 last ball of the day. And so 46 runs ahead. Australia ours is start day 2. I wrote my show notes, obviously, before the day's play that has just finished. And I had written that this tour is unraveling quicker than a Richard Osman plot twist. And actually, it's got worse with this particular day's play. I mean, 20 wickets. Was it first time since 1952 or something? They said on TMS that 20 wickets have
1950,
fallen.
I think they said. Yeah,
Yeah,
75 years.
yeah. I mean, there's a whole book and a number of records that have fallen in this Test series. Now that unraveling, obviously has been on the pitch as well, but off the pitch, it's been quite interesting as well. The Ben Duckett video coming out of him, he's a young lad on the juice in Noosa. I mean, yeah, he's copped a lot of flack, and I think you said, didn't you, that as he came out to bat, Bay 13 or whatever, which is which is the notorious sort of part of MCG, which I'm not sure is there anymore. We're giving him some flack. But what do you make of that Ben Duckett video? I mean, is it something that you expected, or is it something that he's just unlucky because in today's social media world, people stick a camera in your face and you can't do anything?
Well, you have to be very aware of it. You know that everyone has a camera phone now, and it's so quick to flick on to video, and it doesn't even, and because so people, with any situation in life, you see so many videos taken because it's so quick to do. So it's with a it's unfortunate. I'm going to say unfortunate with the Ben Duckett situation, because with everything that's been spoken about and the context around Noosa, but what we don't know yet, and what they'll be investigating is when if it was night one in Noosa, is what's that, 9 days away from the first
Yeah,
Test match.
yeah,
So that's, for me, it's not. You don't want to see it, but also it gives a bit more context to it. It's not like he was sort of just before they were leaving to go prepare and stuff like that, and so. But you have to expect it in Australia. That's what they're looking out for.
yeah.
You think the last one, sort of, he's not with us anymore. But there was a video of Graham Thorpe on the top of the,
Yeah,
early hours of the morning, with
and
a
Joe
security
Root
guard,
and a
and
few other
so
players. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So there's generally something that comes out, and so you do, there's no hiding anywhere as a player anymore. And I think you've just got to be a bit clever with. When I say clever, I'm not sort of, you have to be very aware. Especially getting that drunk. He didn't really know where, he didn't know how to get home. It's that's what you've got to look at. And I know Rob Key will be looking at it. He said it, hasn't he? That's
yeah.
there's all this sort of stuff about drinking culture, and which will be thrown at them, absolutely, because sort of, even in New Zealand there was Bethel and Brook. So there's it just adds to the pile, the in tray of Rob Key, of what he's got to look at with this series. And it's when you look at these adults, so you could probably listen. I imagine that someone like Travis Head has got up to all sorts over these last few, since that third Test match.
Yeah, I bet.
But it's just a different. They're not after him. He's a bit of a, he's an Aussie hero, so he'd probably the narrative on what he's doing. But yeah, it's unfortunate, and it's just not what Rob Key and the management needed leading into this Test match at all.
I mean, the optics aren't great, but Ben Duckett getting lashed in Noosa is not why England have got battered in the Ashes. I mean, it is certainly something, as you say, Rob Key doesn't need, and we'll have a chat about what you think. He's fronted up. He's done some interviews with everybody. He was on Sky podcast with Nasser Hussain and Michael Atherton. He was on TMS, and he had quite a lot to say. And I thought he was honest and he was open. But um, there's a lot of hypocrisy here as well. Going back a long time ago, as you know, I like to do with the true or falses, and I've got a good one for you today. In 1989, when Australia came over, David Boone was celebrated, and still is today, for drinking 52 cans of lager or whatever it was on the flight over. I was listening to Mark Taylor talking to one of the Australian players after the Ashes were won about how many bottles of wine and what the wine was going to be that they were going to celebrate with, and etc. When alcohol, or the talking about what you've done with drink, works in your favor when you're winning, but as you say, if you are getting battered, then sort of keeping a low profile is something that you may need to consider. But you mentioned it earlier, so I'll turn it into a question. Does cricket have a drinking culture? Is it a problem generally across the sport?
I don't think so. I think it's changed. I think you brought up history there, and I think in the past it probably, it has been linked to it. And if I think of when I was playing, especially after Test match, 5 hard days of play, you'd go and enjoy yourself after play, and that's what it's the key to it is when, it has its place after, and that's the thing for me. And my early tours, I remember the West Indies. I went on, that was one of my early tours, and in Barbados through St. Lawrence Gap. I remember, us having in one of these little minivans. It was like a party van because
Yeah.
I was only 12th man, but they'd won the Test match, and that sort of, and that's what you do. Is the enjoyment around it. 2005, winning the Test matches. We enjoyed ourselves. We celebrated, definitely, and that's part of sport. That's part of, So I suppose that's what people do, don't they? Special moments, you celebrate well, and I suppose it's just outside of it. So I don't think cricket has a drinking problem. It's what a massive wow. I'm just as I'm trying to answer this, I'm thinking, hold on a minute. This is a big old this is a big question, because it's I'm answering for a lot here.
Yeah,
and I think
it's gone 8 o'clock as well, so you're
yeah. And let's bring it back to this current Ashes group. It's clearly something they need to look at. I don't know. I haven't been in and around the squad to know what they do and how they operate. And I know that it would have been spoken to them about before they left, sort of, if they do go out and have a drink, how they do it, where they do it. Don't let yourselves be photographed in the middle of the night, sort of. So I think that it's another thing to look at with this group, with that culture, and looking at how they operate with it. And I think they've worked really hard on it. I know Rob Key, I've spoken to him a few times about it, and he's working really hard on the perception of these guys. At the start, it was about them being arrogant.
yeah.
And it's just that sort of thing. It's as the general public, the fans, we want to perceive these guys in the best light, and unfortunately, this tour hasn't shown that up, and that's where we're probably frustrated and we're upset with them that they're over there. Even bits like when Brendan McCullum with his comments about essentially we're a group of lads travelling the world having a good time. Well, no, you're more than that. You're a group of lads representing a country who, and a lot of people want to be in your position. So you've got some higher standards to uphold to. And I know Rob Key's very aware of those higher standards. It's just getting that group to be as aware as he is.
If you're a mid-20s-year-old lad, now Ben Duckett is maybe a little bit older, and you're averaging 14 in the series that you built up to being the possible pinnacle of your career, you're going to be a bit upset, and you go out on the lash, and you might have a few too many. And the problem that we have in today's society is that, like you said before, everyone's got a smartphone, whack the camera on, take a video, share it to socials. Suddenly, a lad in his mid-20s getting ladded because he's disappointed with his performance turns into a national scandal. It gets blown out of proportion very quickly. But I think the media generally, and the players, ex-players, and today's crowd, actually, they got diffused quite quickly, but by people understanding that actually, he wasn't doing anything particularly bad. He's got lashed, and and who hasn't done that? I think these things get blown out of proportion very quickly, which I guess in your day, with the lack of social media, it didn't really happen.
Yeah, no, not as much. Other than when we went to get on a big bus and go around London, and then then Freddie, it was a bit more. But also, you've got to think of the individual. You know, like I say, he's having a rough time,
Yeah.
and it's you're under the spotlight. He would have gone over with bigger plans than what's happened. You know, he's been successful. He's scored runs. It's not going on. I don't know if Ben Duckett's a golfer, but it's about your ways of getting away and clearing your head. And I know alcohol's probably not the best one for it, you know. But if that's his choice, then you know that's because he's still got 2 test matches to play, and he's sort of like, oh, I want to forget. Let's put that behind us. Let's have a few drinks. But you know, I've got 2 test matches, and so golf can't go play golf because maybe he doesn't play golf, but also that's frowned upon. You know, we go down the beach, and there's going to be people down there. There's going to be local radio people trying to make fools of us, and so with that, the bubble that they're in, the scrutiny that they're in, is like, what's their releases? And that's the biggest thing as management looking at that. You know, the management group thinking these guys are under some serious pressure. You know, what's some release mechanisms that we can have for them, which we could get over the debacle of the 3 test matches and look forward to it. And so that's where that's where your leaders come into it, your management come into it. And it is a bit of on the spot planning, you know, sort of and realization is we've got some players here who are probably in positions they haven't been for a while with pressure and scrutiny. How can we help them to get to sort of have some time away from the game? And that's what Noosa was planned at, wasn't it? Okay, because at that point it would have been, okay, let's get them away from cricket. Let's give them a recharge. Let's sort of clear everything and allow them. It's just, but you know, it's the video that's come out has not helped the story around Noosa at all.
What's as an England cricketer, what has more pressure, a home series or an away series?
Depends where the away series
Well,
is.
let's say the Ashes. Let's say the Ashes.
Yeah, the Ashes. Then you know,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any more scrutiny than the Ashes, and then the Ashes away.
Okay, so
because you've
the
got
Ashes away is more than at home.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, because if I'm thinking as a player, yes, when you're at home, you can go and get away. You go home. You know, you go home. You go back to your protective environments, and you can do. You know, Duckett probably potentially, if he was at home, he ran Nottingham way, he'd probably go home and he would have, you know, cracked on at home and done what he did. But yeah, Ashes away, and especially when you're losing, I don't think there's a bigger media presence and media scrutiny than than anything. That's the biggest for me.
Yeah. Listen, Jones, mainly because of your great insights and not much to do with me. We've nearly reached 200 subscribers in a month on YouTube, and the numbers are very good. So thanks to everyone who has taken that. But just my normal sort of call out for people to subscribe to Close of Play on Spotify and Apple, and at Sanjay Murthy Cricket here on YouTube. And I know we've been discussing this and we haven't got to any major conclusion, but what I'm going to say is please subscribe. And if you are our 200th subscriber, then we'll have a signed gift for you from, well, we started off with Geraint's personal collection, but over the years that seems to have sort of been sort of given away and decimated. So we'll find something that Jonesy will sign for you, but that's our thing. We'll give you a signed gift if you are our 200.
Maybe props have helped us get. So, mate, what about, you know, this is my Christmas hat yesterday.
You look amazingly
great for
like
those not
Will
watching on
Ferrell
YouTube.
in Elf.
What? They were saying that about myself. But yeah, so yeah, I'll find something for you, or we'll get something for 200. That's not bad, is it, mate?
Well, yeah, it's good going. Yeah, in a month. We only started this at the start of the Ashes, so it's obviously something happens.
Trouble with the hat,
yeah, well, there's a problem with
saying that the hat created a 5 head Yeah, give me a 5 head, not a 4 head.
Marvelous. I'll do the gags. You just answer cricket questions. Right. So after subscribers, you know what happens. You're 7-5 up after your guess the other day about the fifth test from the fifth day from somewhere or other. This is more recent. Day one in 2017. David Warne made 100, made 103, but he was out on 99 for it to be overturned because of a no ball, and the bowler who was on debut was Tom Curran. Is that true or false?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, every year, all right, I get the 1890 business, but this was only a few years ago.
I know, but this is sort of, I must admit, when I stopped playing, I didn't follow it as much. It wasn't through dislike or anything, but I just sort of, and that's something that this podcast has brought me. It's given me some passion back into watching. So, so that side of it's been good. These true or falses, no, they can do one, but I've got no idea. Again, I should know. Who'd you say? Tom Curran.
Tom Curran, yeah. Was he the bowler on debut?
No, I don't think This part of me thinks that he played in home series. I don't recall him playing much. In terms of, he sticks in my mind more for playing in home series, probably because that's what I watch more. So I'm going to stick with false, and maybe it's you trying, but then you're going, like you're going, go on, please say false, because that looks like it. So, you being Jeremy Clarkson, always trying to no, I'm going to stick with what I think a little bit, and it's probably totally wrong, but I'm going to say false, and that you're trying to, it's a subtle difference.
Because I stressed Tom, didn't I? So you think it could be Sam. But we're going to go with false. And the score, which started off at Geraint Jones 7, Sanjay Murthy 5, is now Geraint Jones 7, Sanjay Murthy 6. Because it was true. It was Tom Curran who made his debut and got David Warne out 99. So there you go. I'm back in the game. How many more we got? Well, this is only going to be about a 2-day test, so we haven't got that many, I don't think, in this. But
perfect.
there you go. So when we do the next batch of podcasts, I'll have to think of a different quiz for you. Because clearly, you prefer the Stephen Finn, Cal Corner type thing, as opposed to the true or false sort of approach to life. So okay, fine, I get it. Rob Key, let's just talk about him for a while. He's been fronting up, done the media. He's been pretty honest. A lot of them seem to be taking a different line maybe to the line they took 18 months ago, where we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and the word arrogant has been used, and he was aggressive, and etc. And I think they've all been surprised by the severity of the downfall, if you like. So therefore, coming out and sticking to that old party line probably is something that's not going to go well in their attempts to keep their jobs. He actually got unlikely support from Darren Lehman, who said that he was up at Noosa at the time and didn't see any sort of stag do, which is, it's easy on social media, isn't it, to throw words around or phrases around like stag do, and everyone gets all irate. And then the Ben Duckett video comes out and go, yeah, it's a stag do. Look, it's young lads. We're paying for them. They're on the lash. All that sort of type of rhetoric comes out. But I think it's fair to say, and Rob Key did say this, Jonesy, that England have fallen short on preparation and discipline. And he accepted the mistakes both on and off the pitch.
Yeah, and he will. Keezy will front up to it. He was like that as a player, as a captain. He didn't shy away from anything, and so in this role that he's got now, he will keep fronting up, and he'll be honest. Now, I think he speaks extremely well in the media. His time as a Sky pundit, he was outstanding.
Yeah,
and now moving into this role, I think that's the one thing that working on Sky has given him a fantastic helping hand, and leading into it. It's to speak in front of the media. He's confident, he's comfortable, and I like the fact he's honest. He has looked at it. The one thing I was trying to work out when he said we're at 20%, that was, for me, that was one. Is keep the figures out of it in terms of, because if we're only at 20%, that's flipping low.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
that's that's a long way off. So, but yeah, no, that's Keezy's nature. He will keep getting in front of the press, and he will keep answering the tough questions. He'll be angry.
Yeah.
He'll be angry and he'll be frustrated because there's a lot of planning no matter what we say about the preparation and everything leading into it, there would have been a lot of planning. It's not slapdash, because it's not sort of thing like a week or two before you ring up and you go, actually, we're on our way, Cricket Australia. This is what we want. No, it's a long way in advance. And Keezy, since coming into the role and bringing McCullum in, they would have been planning for it. So he's going to be angry. He's going to be frustrated, and he is going to want answers. And so, because by getting those answers as to what's gone on there, and he's been out there for a bit. He wasn't on Noosa himself. He said Brady was in a different part of Queensland. So,
Hmm.
so he's been out there. He's been in that bubble. He's been on an Ashes tour himself.
Yeah.
And Keezy's thing will be about how can we get better. That's the one thing. That's why he took the role. He said he and the Sky guys used to speak in and around. He used to sort of throw all these fixes about England cricket, and when he got approached about it, he was like, "Well, actually, you know what? This is time for me to front up, and all this chat that we do, and all these ideas I've got. Well, this is an opportunity to put them together."
Yeah.
And so that's, so he took a sort of quite a bold move with that, and he's always been honest about that. So he will want it, and he'll want it to be better. Again, he's played for England. He knows what that means. He knows what it means for people, fans watching it, and he won't be happy with the situation. And he'll get to the bottom of it, and he'll look to move it forward as best he can.
Yeah. He said publicly, didn't he? He backs the McCullum philosophy, if you like, but the results now have to sort of catch up with that philosophy, really. I mean, he's got to say that, hasn't he? In terms of, what he says publicly, he can't be out there sort of lambasting everything that he's been a part of, that decision making. And one of those things was that the narrative that he said, there's a narrative that we just want to go out and play aggressive cricket. That's not true at all. But, from what we see as fans, that is what's happening. And he also said that there's a real difference between aggression and dumb, and sometimes we take dumb options. I mean, it was certainly forthright in terms of opinions, but he said that before today's play. And then I suppose it's unfair to say that there were dumb options today, but they were certainly aggressive.
Yeah, no, I think you yourself there realise as you were saying it, and with the context of today's play, it wasn't dumb options. Today the wicket was far in the bowler's advantage, and for Test match cricket, that's what you don't want, is because you've got high skilled, high class bowlers, and with a wicket that's giving the batters were sitting ducks today. So, again, as part of this Ashes narrative, there's probably some really strong and stern conversations leading into this Test match. They tried to improve it in Adelaide, and we saw a slightly different approach. A bit more balanced, a bit more measured, and so then coming to Melbourne, we're hoping for a bit more of the same. Knew it to be spicy. There's
Yeah.
more grass on it, but I don't think anyone predicted 20 wickets. So everything he's said there and everything he's wanted, and probably the team wanted, they haven't been able to do that because of the nature of the surface that they're playing on. Let's see what tomorrow brings, because day two, you'd expect it to be a bit flatter. Yeah, we'll probably see the Australians bat all day, won't we? And rack up a massive lead, and then that leads us to day three. What we don't want to see, and I don't think is another double collapse and another 2-day Test match.
Yeah.
That's what no one wants to see. That everyone wants to see some decent cricket, and so it's a test for those bowlers to get out there and do it again.
Yeah, Cricket Australia certainly don't want another 2-day Test match with the crowds that are expected at the MCG, or the MCG's had over, the Boxing Day sort of tradition, if you like. Something that somebody who is synonymous with Melbourne, and the MCG is Shane Warne. 350 every day. There's the tip the hat. They've encouraged the crowd to tip the hat. That sort of famous picture, iconic picture of Shane doing that. In 350 because it's 350, 350 test caps. We had a great chat with Jason Warne, which is available on YouTube. If you just look at under Sanjay Murthy cricket, find the title that says Shane Warne's legacy didn't end with cricket, and have a watch of that, because Jason Warne, his brother, tells some good stories about growing up with Shane, and also the great work that the Shane Warne legacy is doing. And if you're in and around the Melbourne area or the MCG, if you're lucky enough to watch any of the matches, then you can get a free health check at a number of machines they've got stationed around the ground. Just ending on Shane, then Jonesy, actually, what are your memories of facing him? I mean, was everything that we read and everything that people have said true?
Yeah. Genius with the ball and a genius without it. Walking out to bat, you could tell he was sizing you up. He knew how he was going to get you out, and he'd quite often tell you. Andrew Strauss tells a really good story about Warne stopping the match, mid-test match in 2005, and telling him they're going to get you out. And so that's what he did. He created a theatre. When you were batting and Warne was bowling, it was a theatre. But you had a genius letting go of the ball, and so it was. You knew that. You knew you were in that situation. You knew his teammates loved it. The one that Warne also never gave up. He never thought a match was lost. So you could come out, no matter what situation. So it was great fun to be a part of. It was some of the toughest cricket you could play, because you had someone who was, an absolute genius with the ball. And so, but it was really enjoyable. And that was the one thing that, that I remember playing against Warne was how much I enjoyed it and how tough it was.
Yeah, like I said to you before, I still remember when we sat down in the Cowden Cricket Club change rooms in 2007 or whatever. You, Glenn, and Shane were talking about 05, and it was just a great insight to be able to see, for you guys to reminisce on what had gone on in that iconic series. This series is iconic, but probably for very different reasons if you're an England fan. End of day, session by session summary. Actually, it's really interesting today, because at lunch, Australia was 72 for 4. At tea, they were 152 all out. In fact, tea was taken because they were all out. And at close, England 110 all out and Australia 4 without loss. How do you rate a session by session? Because what we've done in the past is that you've done it, and the accumulation has been the winner. This is a tough one.
I don't know. These are getting close to your true and falses for me.
Yeah, I can see the confused look on your face.
When you have 20 wickets, when you have 20 wickets in a day, it's hard to, I don't know. The end of the day, I think Australia are in the driving seat, aren't they?
Mm.
The fact they've got a lead. Was it 60 odd?
46.
Is that many?
46. 46.
Yeah, so let's call it 50 runs. Yeah. And so with that, a 50 run lead on this wicket is a lot, considering both sides have been. Australia got 150 odd, didn't they? The end result needs to be Australia, but the leading up to it isn't as clear because both of it. I'll go 3 halves and an Australian day.
Oh yeah, and arms crossed because you said halves. Because if you look at it just as cold statistics, it's 2-1 England, isn't it? Australia 72 for 4, 152 all out, and that's England, and then Australia absolutely smashed the last session. To get England all out in a session, you probably we need to award double points or triple points to what they've done that last session to make the analogy work.
I used to play with a guy called. There was a guy I played with, Mark Davis. He was from Durham, little dobber seamer, and he used to say, "Stats are for prats." And I'm sort of moving towards agreeing with him.
What are you moving towards? You said it from the very beginning. Don't talk to me about stats. I mean, you haven't changed your tune particularly. But yeah, Australia certainly on top after the first day at the MCG. Let's see how long this test match starts for. I could do with actually a bit more sleep. So, the podcasts are fun to do. So let's see tomorrow morning, Jonesy. Same time, same place, and enjoy the rest of your Boxing Day. I'm off to make some Scotch egg. See you, mate. Bye. Thank you for all of your support for the work that we do here at Close of Play. But to help us, if you could subscribe to Close of Play on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and also at Sanjay Murthy Cricket on YouTube, it'll help us. We can get more content out there, get more guests, and keep bringing you our, let's hope, unique views on the game that we all love. Thank you very much.